Hello everyone, this is He Who Reads Visual Novels here with my first review of the visual novel Tsukihime. Tsukihime is a doujinshi published by entertainment company Type Moon. It became a surprise success and remains infamous today for its creative mystery, well-written characters, story, and of course, popularity. It was thanks to this that Type Moon could continue to grow and make future successes like Stay Night, although that's for another time. For now, let's jump into the world of Tsukihime. Our protagonist is Shiki Tono, a young man disowned by his family after a near-death accident 8 years prior to the story. At a glance, Shiki's your normal guy. He's kind, witty, helpful, lazy, pretty much your standard fictional teenager. But there's more beneath that. Past the normality lies a number of hidden secrets and psychological traumas that even Shiki himself doesn't know about. On top of that, the accident he was in also granted Shiki a power known as the mystic eyes of death perception. Mystical eyes that allow him to see the death of everything around him in the form of lines. Should he cut the line of something, or someone rather, it would immediately die. Alongside Shiki, Tsukihime features 5 main heroine protagonists. The first heroine being Arcade Brunstadt, a vampire Shiki has the misfortune to bump into. Next up is Ciel, a mysterious senior at Shiki's school also somehow involved in the events at hand. Then there's Akiha Tono, Shiki's little sister and current heir to the Tono name. Alongside her there's the stoic Hisui and ever-smiling Kohaku, who serve as the maids. Like most visual novels, Tsukihime allows you to make choices that'll split the story up into 5 different routes, one for each of the female leads. Overall though, the story is broken down into 2 major categories, the near side of the moon and the far side of the moon. The near side contains Arcade and Ciel's roots, whereas the far side deals with Akiha, Hisui, and Kohaku. The story begins with Shiki being called back to the Tono house after the death of his father. Meanwhile, the town Shiki lives in is being plagued by a serial killer who leaves his victims drained of their blood, much like a vampire. How Tsukihime plays out from there depends on the decisions and in turn route you decide to go down, with the near side focusing on Shiki helping Arcade pursue the serial killer, whereas the far side focuses more on the secrets of the Tono family and the accident Shiki was in 8 years ago. Arcade's route serves as an introduction to the world and plot of Tsukihime and is considered to be the main route of the game. Ciel's route tells a similar story but builds more on what Arcade's establishes. It also serves as one of the better storylines but suffers from the weakest romance. Akiha, Hisui, and Kohaku's routes each tell different variations of the same story, i.e. the secrets of the Tono family and what they imply. Akiha serves as an introduction to the far side in the same way Arcade's was to the near side. Hisui's route plays out similarly to Akiha's with emphasis placed on the internal conflicts within Shiki and elements to be used in Kohaku's route, which is meant to be the final route and ties together all the loose ends and answers the remaining questions in Tsukihime. I won't say more about the routes because I would delve into spoiler territory, but none of these routes are bad. In fact, they're all pretty good, but that's about it. Good, possibly even great, but there's many problems that bring down the story. Like how a number of characters have a convenient habit of not appearing in certain routes. The worst example of this being Arcade, who despite her major role in the story has no role in any of the far side routes. Likewise, Ciel vanishes partway through a few routes too, and while not a main character, Yumizuka's absence in the near side is a bit too convenient to overlook. There is also a trend of weak endings in Tsukihime, particularly in the far side routes where the endings aren't really satisfying or good, save for Kohaku's. And then there's the infamous Nasu style of writing, where sometimes things get a bit too wordy and drag on for too long. I could go on, but you get the picture. It's little things like this that pester Tsukihime. None of these problems are deal breakers or anything like that, but the story is still plenty good and enjoyable despite them. It just brings it down. While I'm listing off some problems, there's one other thing worth mentioning. As I said earlier, Tsukihime is a doujinshi, or self-published work. There was no helping this, and I'm not going to hold it against the visual novel, but it's something I still need to mention. Taken as a visual novel, Tsukihime is pretty weak in terms of art and music. There's a lot of great character designs, but the actual drawings of the characters are okay at best. Though the big issue I have is with the music. The music is alright, and I hope you really like the songs because you will hear them a lot. There aren't very many songs, and almost every track is a 5-second loop that'll get old quick. Neither of these issues will really bother people who haven't read many visual novels, but once you've seen stuff with more polish, it's all you notice. Still, despite what I just said and as flawed as it is, Tsukihime is a very enjoyable visual novel and it's easy to see how it became popular. With a solid story, unique and well-written characters, and a lot of ideas, it's at least worth a read. If If you haven't read a visual novel before, this would be a good one to start with. There's a link in the description below if you're interested. Thank you for watching my first review. Feel free to comment, critique, like, share, whatever. I'd love to see some feedback from you guys. Thanks again, and see you next time.